because we're live. Well, we're not live, but we're recording. What up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, dude. I was excited. This has been a bit of a saga. This getting this video. It's not what we had originally intended, but I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm pretty excited. Originally, like it was going to be you come out here, we do the one take here, but then I got COVID, and like I'm not gonna lie, man. There was a small part of me that was like, maybe I just roll the dice and don't tell him because it sounds really fun. But then I was like, no, you can't do that. You can't do
Dude,
that.
I would probably would have been fine, but in the worst case scenario, that would have fucked me up.
Well, yeah, because you had tour. You had
Yeah,
tour.
I leave here in like a few days.
Yeah.
My rehearsal's in 3 days.
Yeah. And like, would you have been COVID free by that time? Sure. But would you have potentially had that long-term fatigue and vocal, so I was like, it's not worth
Dude,
the risk.
ironically, I actually got a sinus infection around the same time because the seasonal time was coming. So I think the universe just wanted us to do it this way.
I think
At least I think so.
That's what it is.
I could be wrong. You know what I mean? Fucking universe just throws some blows sometimes. We just gotta dodge them.
Exactly. And we're here. We're here.
Yeah, we're here, baby, you know?
And speaking of, I'm actually pretty pumped because in knowing that we were going to do something, for a while, I wasn't sure exactly what it was. I actually haven't really listened to much of the new stuff you've released because like obviously I'm very familiar with your music and your discography, but even when you listen to other songs on an album, it gives you kind of an idea of what to expect. So I like.
See, with you saying that, it really makes me wish that I would have did a deeper cut on the record. I did the title track because it was like the first one, but you saying that, I wish that I would have did like Creator or like Sarcasm or something, because those ones are like the deep cuts where like I watched a lot of reaction videos from other people and they're like, yo, these are like fucking crazy, but they're different. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's not like the Sign Staple sound. It's like we were having fun.
I totally understand. But but the thing is, man, like there's not really like a wrong choice for these videos. Cause honestly, when people watch these, the main thing they're interested in hearing you talk about all this like absolute monster madness that you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is not a bad one. Oh,
I even threw some extra sauce into this one where like I did a little ad-lib vocal here and there, like it's different from the actual record, yeah. Before we dive into it, like I did it with a 58, gave it that raw kind of vibe.
Hell yeah.
Some people are going to be so mad that I did that, but whatever. You want a butthole polished like track, go listen to the actual album. You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's kind of the fun of one takes, because this is what we're going to be listening to is, again, the one take is that it's a little closer. It's not exact, but it's closer to what would be heard live. If somebody went and they saw you perform,
what I'm saying.
They're not going to hear you. You're not going to take a 7B, an SM7B on stage. You're not going to take a.
Could you imagine how funny that would be?
That'd be goofy.
Seeing somebody just like.
or like walking up there with like a condenser mic. Can you imagine how horrible that would sound?
That'd be so funny.
I mean, like I get it. I feel like that would just be a mess. So no, I think it's you should. Hopefully you cup the mic a little bit just to make people real mad.
Oh yeah, I totally do. So like let them be so mad. Let them be so mad. You might be mad. You might not be able to see some mouth shapes, but I could always just explain them for you here.
No,
and that's why I'm here now. You know what I mean? Like we could talk about the bread and butter a little bit,
If I have a question, I'll just ask you. But the thing, I'll tell you this before we listen to the song. But the thing about me is like, my entire career is in metal vocals. My like I teach people metal vocals. I do metal vocals. But people are like, what's your strong opinion on cupping the mic? And I'm like, I don't care. Whoa, what's your opinion on inhaling? I don't care. What's your opinion on autotune? I don't care.
See, with Deathcore, like I feel like that you need to kind of forget some of the things that are like the staples of like recording or how you should do things. As long as it like doesn't feel wrong, I feel like that you should just be enjoying it and just trying to make cool stuff.
Yeah, dude, that's the thing. Like I often will tell my students this. I'll say, and I'm obviously being a little bit inflammatory to get their attention. But what I'll tell them is I'll say I have absolutely no respect for the craft whatsoever. And what I mean by that is like, ultimately, I'm here to have fun and make cool noises, and I'd like to be safe while I do it. Right,
dude. That's literally all it is.
It's all it is for me. Yeah,
that's all it is. And maybe you get a little catchy here and there, whatever. You know what I mean? But that's just having fun writing, and that's making your brain work.
Yeah, you know? Like if it makes it cool to sound cool to double track it. If it makes it cool, like some people will be like, I heard he pitch shifted the vocal in the breakdown, and I'll be like,
that pisses me off.
See, it only
pisses me off.
It only pisses me off if they're trying to pass it off as they didn't, right?
Yeah, I get that. If
they're open and they're like, yeah, a pitch shifted low has a different texture than a low, it sounds like kind of crazy, you know, because like we allow other like guitarists to put all sorts of crazy like effects chains and stuff on their guitars, but once we start doing it, it's like all of a sudden we're like zealots about it.
But
so
that kind of loses the street cred value, though. You know what I mean? Like to a level.
If they're doing it like here and there as an effect, no, I don't think so. If they're like if they're doing it all the time and they're like trying to pretend they didn't, and all of us who have been in the studio are like, bro, just be honest about it. You know what I mean? Then in that case, it doesn't bother me. You know, me personally, because also like if we have an effect where it's like echo, if I'm like, you know, that's also pretty synthetic.
That's different, you know, like because like if you have a and then fucking like they're pitch shifting that down and then they're trying to be like, yo, I'm the best fucking vocalist in the world, get out of here.
Well, that's exactly it. Is it the pitch shift or is it their attitude? Is it their lying?
I feel like it might be the attitude and the lie.
It's the fact that they're lying, you know?
Yeah, it's like the deceiving factor that makes it icky, maybe.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel.
I will say that I do hear some shit that gets pitch shifted. I'm like, oh, that kind of sounds really hard when like everything else got a bunch of like synthetic sound to it. You know what I mean? Like it kind of sounds cool. Like whenever you have like a super gated guitar and like it's super driven and like you're pitch shifting that down to drop 0 or you know what I'm saying? Like yeah, and you kind of add that little like a little ink there. Like that could be cool. Yeah, it could be cool. Personally, that's not my forte. I like trying to be as clean cut as possible. Maybe a little delay here and there. Sometimes I am a sucker for the glitch effect plug-in, but I'm trying to hit that industrial mark. You know what I mean? So like that's a different conversation. That's like production of a vocal.
It's exactly. I mean, I've never pitch shifted a low before. I totally have. At the end of one of our songs, at the end of one of our early songs, I think it's called Displacement. Like I wanted to make like an alien sound, so we just took it, and it's like this alien being like cold, empty, void. You know, because space metal was the thing. You know,
still is the thing. Dude. I go back to fucking the Faceless.
Dude. Well, but that's because Planetary Duality is timeless, man.
I know,
that's because that album is timeless. Like literally the opening, that riff, one of the best metal riffs ever written, in my opinion. And that drum video. Oh my goodness. Wait, but we're not here to talk about the Faceless.
Yeah, we need to stop fucking nerding out.
We're here to talk about you, my friend. We're here to talk about your voice. So, you know what? I was gonna say talk to me about it, but let's just get into it. Also, I'm doing this in VLC, so
can I give a little shout out before we get started?
Please do. Yeah, please do.
Shout out to ID Labs for hosting this. For some of you that may not know what this studio is, it's like where Wiz Khalifa and Mac Miller recorded gold and platinum records in Pittsburgh. I have some friends that work there, and they're kind enough to let me come in there and make a mess. So thank you guys so much for having me. And it's kind of a little hometown staple, and I'm really stoked that they let me do this here.
And kind of like maybe even
it was low-key funny because like I'm like sitting there like looking out, and like I'm looking at all these Wiz Khalifa, Mac Miller, and all these other rappers like gold records on the walls, and you just hear Deathcore playing like it because they're like trying to like mix it and shit. It's so funny.
You know, dude, like I think that's so cool. Like I remember back when I was like in high school, there was like this contention between like rap and hip hop and like metal, and now most metal vocalists I know, especially deathcore vocalists. They're big hip hop fans.
Dude, it's borderline the same thing.
It's
egotistical and hard hitting. It's like literally the same fucking thing in my book, bro.
Well, you know, I'm not gonna lie. There are absolutely times where, you know, we're working on a new Kardashev song, and I'm listening to like Kendrick or something, and I'm like, dang, that's a really cool vocal pattern. I wonder if I could change it up a little bit.
That's what I'm saying.
Like rap has cool vocal patterns,
dude. Seriously,
it is
like
what it is.
The cadences and just like hitting the different time signatures where they loop around. It's so fucking sick. That's where I get a lot of inspiration on my stuff. Like JID, he is a poet. And literally I was listening to his stuff before I even went to do this one take, because he just put out this new album, and I'm just sitting there trying to get in the headspace and look hard, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm just putting on rap before I go on in, dude. You know,
dude, it's cool because like I can't remember if it was for our most recent album or the album before, but I was listening to a lot of Toby and Wigway, and
I'm not familiar, to be honest.
Oh, I'll send you.
You
send
gotta
some
send
songs.
me a link.
I know you're a big lyrics guy. His lyrics, like his lyric, I read his lyrics and I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to be that good. Like I literally,
dude, it takes a lot of work. Like you got to like learn just dumb shit. You know what I mean? To get to that foundation point, to get to the next step, to understand that. Like right now, I'm learning a lot of like percussive stuff, like drums and polyrhythms and stuff, to try to up the ante for the next record. And like I'm trying to figure out like I was talking about like things adding up to like hit a certain polyrhythm over top of a 4/4, you know what I mean? And like things adding up over a certain amount of time. And I feel like that's where like it floats on top of the beat a little more than just being like locked in. Dude,
you just got to put a vocal paradiddle in a song. Put a vocal paradiddle in a song. Do it. Actually, could sound kind of cool. That could sound kind of neat.
That's what I'm saying, bro. You know what I mean? It's like applying different things of foundations you learn from other things and applying it to vocals. It's fun.
You could do it. All right, I gotta rein us in, bro, because we're having too much. We're having too much fun. We're having too much, and you know, part of it is that I'm putting off the stuff I have to do after this, which is accounting, finances. It's all admin. All day is all admin, and that's the part of the business I can't stand. I gotta project things. So let's go ahead and let's listen to you do some monster noises. Here we go. You ready? Let's hit it. I'm going to be a jerk and already go ahead and pause it and ask you some questions. So,
okay,
there are two spots there are two things going on here that I think are super cool. One of them is, and this is where I want to start. I know that one people are going to want me to ask you about, and I'm going to ask that second, because that's what you do with content creation. It's you got to play the game a little. But the first one is, we talked a little bit about this in the last video that we did, but I want to revisit it again, because it's one thing that comes up a lot when my students are mentioning your voice, when my students are mentioning your scream. And it's this balance that you have. It's the ability that you have to make vocals sound really wet, but also really open. There are a lot of vocalists who do like that wet sound, but it usually is paired with this sound of closure, right? Like they'll do like this, and everything's so closed, but you pair this with like this really wide open And I think
Yeah,
that's
because like my mouth shapes are really big, actually.
they are. I remember when I saw you live that I was watching and you were, a lot of the time. But yeah, go ahead. Tell me about it.
So I like to think that it's because how relaxed I truly am.
Mm.
Where I feel like that whenever people are focusing on trying to get a certain goal, because that's a very natural thing for me. Like I'm not really great with the anatomy stuff. So I could try to just explain like my experience,
That's the best, honestly. That's the best. What does it feel like? That sort of thing.
It kind of just feels like my talking voice. And like I could give the mouth shape formula, like real wide mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And then I slap that tongue in the back around that little ball that's at the roof of your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
The tip of my tongue, if this was the ball, my tongue is in the very back closest to my uvula or whatever that little ball thingy way back there is.
Yeah, uvula, you got
it. So it is tucked back there pretty deep. Dude, like I see like these weird ass comments sometimes where people are like, "Oh, he's got the salivating disease," and like, I'm like, dude, the only disease I got's my eyes, bro. Like, I'm pretty healthy other than that.
Yeah.
I will say that I am a juicy guy and I am spitting a lot. You know what I mean? Like actually physically spitting, because like I just a lot of stuff's coming. You know what I mean? Like, but I wouldn't like it. This is like the common sound that like I came from trying to emulate Phil Bozeman and Nate Johnson.
Sure.
They're like huge pillars in my foundation of like where I kind of got my inspiration for what I like to call home territory for vocals. Because I like to call this like the stereotypical Dave whenever we're in the studio.
Yeah, totally.
Like it's just like everybody has a certain move that they like doing in a video game, or like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
like,
yeah, dude. Oh, yeah.
And that's mine.
Yeah.
I could do that like a little demo. I'll make sure I do the arm thing like we were talking
about.
Yeah,
like way out there. Yeah. Yeah, we caught the beginning of it. The Zoom thought you were some non-human thing, but we caught like the first couple seconds, right? What if here's an idea. So this is something I do with my students all the time to help them understand different connections, is they do a vocal but quieter, and it doesn't necessarily sound. So for example, if I was to do like one of my
so you want me to just do like a little whisper guy,
like I'll show you what I mean. So like my normal low, it's the same low a lot of people do, is like a right, but if I take that and I do it quietly, it sounds like.
See, like whenever I don't project fully, it doesn't sound as badass.
Well, yeah, just like
you know what I mean, like
right.
So
but just
let me try doing it. I know,
give
like,
it a try.
Like,
give it a try.
I'll give it a try. Like,
yeah.
So
try starting quiet. That might get around the muting. See, here's the thing. Does that sound as cool? Absolutely not. But does that help us?
Definitely a good foundation of like where it's starting. You know, I will say that like that's like this area kind of a little bit. You know, at least that's what I'm feeling, like the little rumbly rumbles there.
Yeah.
But like a lot of my stuff comes from the projection, and I feel like that's where that wet sound comes from.
Exactly.
At least I think so. Because like there's that force that's coming behind it. By no means I'm never gonna try to claim that I'm a vocal coach in any shape or form. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I just know how to do what I do healthily. You know what I mean? And that's just from experience.
Totally. You know what you're talking about. One way that I describe it a lot is that like so I love to cook. I don't do it a whole lot anymore because I got it. Okay, well then perfect. So if I have an ingredient and it's new to me, I often will taste it plain, and it doesn't necessarily taste good, but I can envision what it would taste like in the final dish. So, so you see where I'm going with this. When we have like does that sound cool? No, but I can be like, okay, I can tell what my tongue is doing, and then I can, so it kind of shows us what's going on. So with that, we could hear like that connection. We could hear that connection to the back of the tongue touching like the soft tissue of the soft palate. We could hear that you have like almost like a pullback, like sound, not that, but like that balled up sound. We can hear that happening. And it's really cool because, you know, you can use, well, you don't need any help with it, but people can use that to sort of calibrate what they're doing. Right. I want to go back to this sound.
Oh, the low one.
Yeah,
everybody wants to know that sauce, brother.
Well, see, you know, you got the curse of like having a unique voice. So, you know, you get it. That comes with the territory, right? I want to put it fresh in people's mind. So let me find it here real quick. Is that the right spot?
A little bit, like maybe 10 more seconds. 10
more seconds, okay. After this.
Yeah, that's the one. I know that's the one.
That's the one. That's the one people are definitely going to want me to ask about. But I think, you know, for me, there are two things that make that really interesting, right? First is the directionality, right? So much of like, you know, beginning vocals are aim it out, aim it out, aim it up, aim it out. But as we become more proficient, we can point it down, you know, so we have those like, and then also the balance that you have of airflow to distortion, right? It's
that was the hardest to figure that out. It took me probably about like 2 records and probably about 24 tours.
Tell me about that. Tell me about that.
So this was the sound that I tried emulating to make my deathcore staple. Whenever I first joined Signs of the Swarm, I will say I violently abused this on Vital Deprivation for my first record to the point that I'm embarrassed about it. But hey, you know, learning curves, you know what I mean? That's what life's about, you know? Some people fucking love that record, and seriously, thank you guys for fucking supporting that. That was a huge learning experience for me, because I came from like a hardcore background.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So there was like one common variable that I noticed over like as I was trying to like think of what I wanted to do for my first record. And I was like, every vocalist has a staple sound. I was like, I need to find mine. And that's whenever I started building the foundation of this. And it definitely took a good amount of time for me to like kind of master that craft. It slowly got better and better. I definitely fucked myself up a couple times where like I pushed a little too hard, or and that was a part of the learning curve. I'm no scientist, brother. You know.
Oh yeah.
But with this, I definitely learned that like at first I was kind of doing like a bunch of twisties with my tongue, and that was making things a little too contorted internally. Yeah. And I feel like that's where I led to some difficulties. Also the airflow.
The airflow is the thing, man.
It was such a bitch because like in the beginning, like I had to use my thumb a lot to kind of get my cheeks not to, you know what I mean? Like because there's a real relaxed setup in the cheeks and the nasal cavity. But it's more frog. I like to call it frog throating than anything, because like you kind of drop in the jaw, like I almost feel like I'm unhinging it a little bit.
Okay.
And then like I'm kind of like, if this was like these are my teeth,
sure,
I'm actually rolling my tongue down
like that, like underneath. So it's not quite like a tunnel where you'd be here. It's like
it's like rolled, like my teeth are.
Dude, that makes
that
makes my tongue feel like it's gonna cramp up. I'd have to.
Yeah, see, like that was a kind of a battle that I had to figure out on my own as well. Because there are times where like I'm like, oh, like, and I feel like like it's just getting stiff.
Yeah,
that was something. That's where like I kind of like I really had to relax a lot. And like, I really like for how intense my vocals sound. Like I joke around at sound check all the time. Like I'll be like fucking just like laying down and just like doing vocals, and people are like, what the fuck?
dude.
Like, you know what I mean? But I really believe that the more relaxed, the better. But with that whole technique, like I'm shoving that down. So here's like a good talking bass. Like you get that kind of ugly fucking like, oh, I just bit my tongue real bad type sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
sure.
And you get like ooh, get that ooh going, where it causes the tongue folds to come out on the inside back here, that back by the molars.
Okay.
Get the
sounds like you're using like a E.
It's like a ooh.
Is it when you
like I would like if you were to call like the foundation of the sound is like a ooh. Like literally just EW, like ew.
Yeah, that's where that E.
Yeah, and that's where like I like to use it more of like ad libs or at the end of syllables of like a misery or like, yeah, I mean like kind of get that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I would have to practice that. I don't think I'm gonna try.
Because yeah, it's it was not easy, and even me giving the real, like I've kind of mastered it more down because like I know I've talked about it before on your channel, but I will say that I gained a couple more tricks in my utility belt.
Well, yeah, that was like 2 years ago. I think it's been about 2 years since you were on last. So that's
a lot, bro. And the amount of tours and amount of shows, you know me, I'm a road dog, bro.
Yeah, dude.
I'm constantly on the road. And having those experiences at shows and being able to try a little, like I'm gonna tweak it just this little bit.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm kind of feeling a little burnt out after 29 days. I'm gonna try it this way. But guess what? Me adding that burnt out to the equation helped me learn that one little bit that made it that much better by relaxing that much more and trying not to be like, oh, I need to put my all into this. And that's just because I was fucking physically shot doing 60 something days straight, fucking tour back to back. You know what I mean? Like, where like sometimes you can see the formulas and you can learn it and you could try to do it, but it always can be improved.
Well, that's one thing that I think is really important for a lot of people to understand, and kind of sounds goofy coming from a vocal coach like me, but like I think that especially because back in the day, when I was learning to do all of this stuff, there was Melissa Cross and nobody else that I was aware of. YouTube didn't exist yet. There was no, if you typed in youtube.com, it didn't go anywhere. Right. So I think that, yes, like you said, you can see the formulas, you can do all that. But I think to go from like someone who can do vocals to a vocalist, like you have to have areas of just pure experimentation, and you have to have moments like a lot of my vocals as well. Like I have much less road experience than you. But a lot of mine come from like, tracking vocals for like 7-8 hours. And a
lot of people can't do that, dude.
You get tired. And so you have to learn ways to adapt. You're like, I need to do this sound, but I'm here. I have to track for 8 hours because I was lazy and I saved everything for the last minute, like I always do. And so now rather than doing this for 3, I got to do it and you have to find ways to adapt. And then sometimes, like you're saying, you find really cool tones that you would not have found otherwise.
So I like to call those happy accidents, man.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and like a lot, like this is still a growing genre. Because like we're a subgenre of a subgenre that has gotten some smoke. You know what I mean? Like, truly, like, and I'm not trying to talk shit on the genre. Deathcore saved my life. I love this shit,
Yeah.
But like a lot of it's still trial and error for a lot of people. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, this is what worked for me. But then they'll have a tour where the weather's wrong and it just completely crushes them, and then they're on a nebulizer or some other magic trick that'll make everybody feel better. You know what I mean? I can't think of too many off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But just out of curiosity, whenever
Yeah.
you're getting into it,
Mhm.
like, how did you like actually start like doing the formulas to figure out what's what?
I will tell you. So my entire vocal technique, literally every single thing I do is based on the fact that I'm a lazy piece of shit. Like, you know, and it's true.
Relatable.
It's true, dude. Like, you know, so for me, I think some of it was subconsciously guided by the fact that I have really bad acid reflux, which is sponsored by my crippling caffeine addiction. Dude, yeah, I know. And people are like, oh, you shouldn't be drinking so much caffeine. And I'm like, you're right. But like, you don't understand. Like, I have a caffeine problem. It's real.
I believe I'm right there with you,
dude.
I'm waiting until after you answer this question, because I have another hot question.
Okay, well, cool. Well, let me answer this one then. So for me, you know, like I said, I started learning to do this. I started playing around with my voice like about 17 years ago, started taking it seriously about 15 years ago. But for me, like, you know, you'd see like the MySpace tutorials with the scene kid doing like so here's how I do my, you know, and those were, I remember I would watch all these tutorials and I'd, you know, stand around after a show and all my friends are making vocals. And I would be like, it's like 40 steps. And I was just like, I can't be bothered with that much work. So for me, like, I would just, all I cared, I didn't care if it was false chord. I didn't care if it was fry, because I hadn't even heard those terms at the time. For me,
I believe we come from the same timeline of learning. So that's where I'm curious, because we kind of like
similar.
So, yeah, you know what I mean? So that's where I'm just curious, you know?
Yeah, it was, I wanted it to sound cool and I wanted it to be easy. So, you know, and that doesn't mean it was like that from the beginning. I messed up. I made a lot of mistakes. But, you know, for me, like all of my techniques that I do now, they're based on how can I get maximal sound? Like if I take, again, that low that I did, if I stop doing this stuff, it's, hey guys, what's going on? Hello.
Yeah.
Or if I do like a high vocal, it's like you eat a piece of candy. Blech, that's gross. Blech. And it's just, you know, because like I don't want to. I got things to do, man. I can't be sitting around for 6 hours trying to find this perfect little, which is fine for people who want to do that. And I also was never like big on like another thing about it was for me, like obviously I loved metal vocals, but I wanted to make music. For me, metal vocals were the way that I was gonna express what I wanted to express. So I didn't like if you know, I'm going from one space to another, like if I'm driving from Arizona to Tennessee, I don't want to stop at every single place. I want to get there. And for me, I didn't want to stop and learn every new technique along the way. People would be like, oh, here's this new thing. And I was like, okay, but I want to be at the microphone making music. So that does have its downsides. Like if you compare me to some of like the other metal vocal coaches out there who were very focused on getting like a bunch of different tones, like technique for technique, they'd kick my ass. But I just, you know, I wasn't thinking about vocal coaching at the time. I wanted to make music, you know, and I'm sure they did too.
Yeah,
I'm not talking
like
about
that's
them,
where like I was curious, because like I will definitely say out of my experience, I'm a product of my environment. And
yeah,
what
dude.
like in my influences are like the huge driving point of where I found the foundation of what I like to call my utility belt. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like I'd be like, oh yeah, this guy's highs were like my favorite highs of that. So like that's kind of like the reaching point that I want to get to, but I want to make it my own somehow. You know what I mean? Like at least that's how it was for me, kind of growing through. That's where like whenever I was explaining the whole like the stereotypical Dave one, like where like Phil and Nate really inspired that, just because like they were the goats. They still are the goats to me. You know what I mean? Like fucking, that's where it's just like, yo, you know what I mean? But I just figured I'd ask. But now on to the second question.
Sure, give me the second. Actually, I failed. I do have to pee, so I'll cut this little part out. But let me before you ask, because I want to be able to get into it undistracted. So I'll be back in like 1 minute.
Okay.
But I'll cut this part out. Don't worry. So if you got to pick your nose or fart or something, now's the time.
Okay. You secretly keep it in there. Shit.
All right. Let's get weird. What's question number 2? I'm supposed to be interviewing you, man.
I know, but I'm fucking.
You're curious guy. All right, yeah, let's hit it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so Caffeine Act, huh? You know you shouldn't be doing that, right?
Oh yeah, dude. Me especially.
No, it was just a cooking moment where like I was like, oh, little buddy. But yeah, I'm totally a caffeine addict, and there's times where like I feel like there's certain ones like it doesn't even bother me whenever it comes to actual like caffeine and actually performing and doing vocals and whatnot. Red Bull, Rain, those are two that I can drink and literally I'm spitting the same shit that I'd be spitting if I was just on water. Are there any ones that like fuck you up?
Yeah, it's so essentially there are some things about caffeine that are interesting. So for a long time, people thought it was dehydrating, and that's been thoroughly disproven. I guess that's not really like a thing. Early on, if someone were to go back and watch some of my earliest videos, they'll catch me saying that, and then I read the papers and I was like, whoops. And so I started not saying that anymore. But for me, it all comes from my acid reflux. I've got really bad like reflux. And so for me, the things that I've noticed like really will mess up my voice are like large amounts of coffee with like any sort of creamer, like almond milk or something.
I can't do coffee in any shape or form. Like if we do coffees like at the studio, because Josh has like a routine of just like, hey, let's come into the studio, it's bullshit for an hour, have some coffee.
Yeah.
It's like if it's vocal day, I ain't partaking in the coffee.
Same here, dude. Yeah, coffee.
I'm not sure what it is about it, bro. To be honest, I like. Because like whenever I drink a Red Bull, I could drink a Red Bull while I'm tracking. I probably drank a Red Bull. Honestly, I was drinking a Rain right before I walked in this door and doing this.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Like,
I'm not sure. I can't. It's hard for me to say because, I will tell you that it's kind of weird because these have a lot more chemicals in them than a cup of black coffee, or a lot of, I guess I should say, non-natural chemicals in them.
Yeah, well, these got like vitamins in it, right?
I mean, man, I ain't a health expert, man. Like I'm gonna stick to what I know, which is vocals. But I'll say the main thing that I have to avoid entirely, if I'm gonna be performing or tracking, absolutely zero alcohol of any like I can't even like if I and none of my friends drink, so it's never a problem. But if my friends were to be like, hey, let's like just take a shot before we get started, I'd be like, eh.
See, I used to be an alcoholic and I don't drink.
Yeah, dude.
So fucking that I had no knowledge of that. I've been sober for like quite some time now, actually. I've been trying this whole thing of like, because like I don't smoke weed I don't smoke weed at all anymore, to be honest. This is probably the first interview where I actually openly said that.
Wow. Well, good on you, man. Good on you.
Yeah,
man.
October 5th will be my 90 days of sobriety and therapy.
Dude, that's killer. And how are you noticing any differences with your voice? Are you noticing any differences with your
No, I'm realistic. Mentally, definitely. But like vocally, nah. Everything's the same. Most like I'm just like not as thirsty. But
sure,
for how much I smoked, bro, like it was kind of like over the top, you know what I mean? So like just not as thirsty as much, and like I'm not like, where's my water? Oh, like feeling like SpongeBob and Patrick under the lamp, you know what I mean? Like but any other time, like I would smoke, no problems. Like other than I'm fucking thirsty.
Yeah,
but I think it's because it made me sweat. I was just getting dehydrated from sweating because I sweat like a pig.
Dude, yeah, everybody's body seems to react to things differently, and I like I said, I don't really have a lot of knowledge of why, but like I will say, as it's been a long time, but as someone who used to smoke a lot. I used to be crazy, bro. I used to be kind of crazy. Like I'd have like, I'll tell my students this sometimes, but like there was a time when I'd have like a big like hammer a dip a cigarette. Somebody would pass.
Ew.
Yeah. So I'd be drinking a beer. This is true. In college, I'd be drinking a beer. I'd have a big old wad of dip. I'd be holding a cigarette. Marlboro Red was my go-to. And I'd be at a party and somebody would hand me a large glass object and I'd rip that. And I couldn't handle it. People were like, oh no, like it would always mess me up. But I will say, sometimes I talk to people and they're like, oh, I wish I partied. Yeah. Sometimes I look back and wish I partied and I'm like, you're not missing anything. Like,
yeah, you didn't miss nothing. So much depression.
Like, yeah, dude. Like I like, for me, I would love to say that I put that stuff down because I had good discipline, but unfortunately it's mostly because of heart disease and like other health issues. So it wasn't as much through but I look back and like there's no desire in me at all to go back to those days and I wasn't even, that was only like, I didn't even do that all the time. It was like just a couple times a month, but like, I
was smoking logs, dog. Like I'm talking about like, I'd do like a gram dab fucking and smoking like contraptions. Like I was the guy on tour walking around with like a quarter pound of weed, just handing people weed, just smoking with everybody, just having blast. Fucking I was that guy.
Well, let me you're better off now, man. You're better off now, I'll tell you that. Because like you said, if anything, like your mind's gonna be a lot clearer. You're gonna
yeah. See, like, dude, fucking I'm honestly I've been cooking.
Yeah,
you're cooking.
Doing well. I support it, man. I support it. I think that's awesome.
Thanks.
And if maybe it's motivation for anybody watching. But it's
honestly, I will say, like, I've been kind of open about like how I had like addiction problems in my past on my record with Scars Upon Scars, and I have noticed that I've been a large inspirational point for people to kind of take a step back a little bit. And kind of look at the bigger picture here. And like I've been reached out to, people have told me their stories, I've talked to them, and if you have that thought, hit me up, I'll talk to you.
I think that's one kind of powerful thing that like the music medium can do, and that you're willing to like chat with people about it. That's pretty cool, man. Not a lot of people keep those DMs open like that. So
bro, I'm just some dude, you know what I mean? Like, come on, I'm just some dude.
Like, yeah, like
sometimes I'm busy and sometimes it goes to that request file, but motherfuckers be looking in that request file. You know what I mean? Like, it's there. People be looking. Yeah. I know you be looking. I know I be looking. I know 30 other people that be looking, like, and sometimes there's a message in there that just like you connect with and you just respond and talk.
What I hate is when you go check those requests and you're like, it's like a 6-month-old thing. You're like, oh my God, I really wish I would have seen that.
Trust me, I get gutted sometimes. I've been hit up for features for bands that like, I'm like, yo, I would have fucking kicked somebody's ass to get that fucking shit. And then fucking like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, but
yeah,
it'd be like that, brother.
Well, let's use this as a segue because I'm actually interested. One thing I want to talk to you about. Well, I'm going to save the question. Actually, I want to save the question. I'm going to save it for afterwards, but let's listen to a little bit more here and then we'll go. And it plays off of something you told me last time. So here we go. That is probably musically the worst place to pause it, but it's the best place to pause it for what I want to talk about.
Dude, you know what I noticed? Every time we pause it, the lyric is "Where do I begin?"
Let's pretend
Every time we paused it. So
let's
it's just
pretend I'm
funny.
doing that on purpose. That would be really cool. Let's pretend that's not just a coincidence. But that is also like, this is totally an aside, but like that snare was doing some wild stuff, and it's a really interesting snare tone too. It's a really interesting.
Bobby is correct.
Yeah.
Fun note: my drummer wrote this entire song.
Oh hell yeah.
Instrumentally, yeah. Bobby
Wow.
is one of the main producers and composers of the band, and he is a powerhouse.
Well,
Shout out Bobby. I know you're gonna watch this, and I know it's gonna make you smile that I said that.
yeah. Well, like one thing I was going to point out, and again, I'm not a drummer, so I don't have really much to say about it other than like, sounds neat. But there was a section in there where that snare was doing some really cool patterns, really interesting stuff. And I think that the tone of the snare is really interesting too. But again, since I'm not a drummer, I can't really articulate why. I just hear it and I'm like, neat.
It's the brass.
It's what?
It's a brass snare.
See, I don't even know what effect that would have on it.
Yeah, well, I'm saying like the snare is made of brass.
Right.
Yeah, but like that's where it comes with like that high end, real kind of like
I see what you're saying.
Real dynamic. Like it's almost to the level of ping, but not ping, where it still has dynamic to it. And honestly, like ever since he transitioned to the brass snare, like I think that was the one that he like just found randomly while we were in Arizona. Like his snare broke while we were at in Mesa with what's that place called?
Probably Underground, Nile.
No, it's called the Nile. That's what it is. Not Underground.
Yeah.
Because I remember he like walked out and was like by that coffee shop or whatever. It was like, I'm going to this place and see if they have some. And he found that, and then it was sick. But I think he got a bougie one, and I can't remember which one he used on that song.
Well, it
sounds
switching
stuff around. See, he does.
That's the angle for this video. Deathcore vocalist teaches coach about drums. That's what it's gonna be called.
Yeah, literally, Bobby's gonna shoot me because I probably said the wrong thing, but whatever.
Well, blame it on me for bringing it up. But you know, one thing I want to ask you about is because you've been at this vocal game for a while. I mean, I don't remember exactly how long, but it's been a long time.
I've been with Signs for about 8 years.
For about 8 years, and you were doing stuff before that.
Yeah. So I've been going for almost 2 decades now of actually doing vocals. So about 20 years.
Exactly.
I started whenever I was 14. I'm 34. So
well, there you go. But you know, one thing I'm always interested in is because, you know, and obviously as an extreme vocal educator, I think these vocals are awesome, but all things have their hurdles and limitations, right? And one of those can be that it can be not impossible. And I want to ask you about this because I have my own way of doing it, and every vocalist has their own way of doing it. But when these vocals are designed to be so monstrous, sometimes it can be difficult to express your lyrics and the emotion of those lyrics and what those lyrics do. There are certainly ways, but I want to know how you go about it, because I know, and this is from last time, you were like, I'm a big lyrics guy. And so I want to know, you know, there are some, and I don't even think this is bad, but there are some deathcore vocalists where they have their lyrics and they have their vocals and they're completely separate. They don't think about how the vocals and the lyrics should interact. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But for me, and I know for you, because you told me this, you like to tie these things together. And I hear certain words that you're barking out. I hear certain, like, you know, you say down low or below or something, and you drop the vocal a little bit. So talk to me about when you're performing or when you're writing the vocal sounds, how do you tie that into what you're actually saying?
Okay. So, in my beginning process, I do like to think of things as in just like, da, 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 or like, da, 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 you know what I mean? Just like to try to get like the cadence of what I'm doing. Right. And then I will try to take that and apply it to my words that I've written. But then whenever it comes down to like, how do I make it sound like it's emotional?
Exactly.
Like there's this one part that's in here. It's like, it's searching in my heart for the perfect stories to tell in the river of my sins. Like, where like I feel like it's like where like it feels like it needs the dramatic expression, is like where I would like kind of like loosen up a little more, or I like to focus on the vowels a lot to like try to like get that signature sounds to kind of hit. Like for the barking parts, like you'll notice like it's like A-E-I-O-U's, like you, or sometimes like I'll focus on like non-vowel sounds. It just depends, like, and I feel like that's where it comes from. A lot of intuition and experience comes from, where like I got that, you know what I mean, like where like because like there'll be times where people like I'll write the sickest lyric ever and then I'll go to scream and I'm like, yo, that sounds stupid.
I've had that experience like, a lot, bro, where when you take an amazing lyric and you put your voice on it, you're like, bleh. So you have to change it up, you
like,
know? Yeah.
And like for this pre-chorus, for example, like I'm doing like this like kind of like higher registered mid-range yell. It's like for the perfect stories to tell. But then whenever I'm getting to more of like a serious note, like in the river of my sins, I'm dropping that tone to kind of get the attention. And then I'll spike it up for the like the dramatic hook. Like, where do I begin? It gets into that higher point. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where like whenever everybody like I notice like a lot of people will think like a whole verse like needs to be one consistent vocal. I feel like that's whenever it gets stagnant as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to just hear it just gets stagnant after a while. You know what I mean? If you're like that's already 20 times more exciting. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay, you take that exciting thing and then you kind of like, all right, well, how can I make it a little more exciting? And it's just like, you know what I mean? And you're changing where you're accenting things, and then adjusting words, I feel like is very important, because like I get stuck in this groove sometimes where like I'm like, no, this is like what it needs to be. It needs to be this. It needs to be this.
Oh, and then, yeah,
bro. From my last 2 records and actually working with a producer and him making me grind my face off the fucking wall for 3 hours on one line, that's where I've learned might not be it. As much as your heart believes it and your gut believes it, it might not be it. The chorus for this song changed 7 times.
Yeah.
7 times.
Dude, one of the most important moments of my musical career was when I realized that most of the time there was some sort of measurable correlation, causality perhaps, that the more I was digging my heels in, the more I was likely not correct. You know, and the more that chances were it was going to be better. And I used to not mad, but I used to be like, okay, let's try it. I don't think it's going to work, but let's try it. And then, you know, Nico would play it back and I'd be like,
trust me, like whenever other people are like kind of resistant on ideas, that means because they have a reservation, you know what I mean? And that means that the listener may have a reservation as well, because guess what? They're a listener.
Exactly.
They are listening, even though they are your peers, they are a listener in the creative setting. So I feel like that utilizing that element is very important.
Absolutely.
I will say that I probably try dying on my mountain more than I should. Like I'm a stubborn guy sometimes. But you know what? There are times whenever like after I sit there on top of that hill, guess what? My flag's there, baby. It's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to know that balance, because I'm the same way. Like I definitely have like a couple strings within me that like are a little bit difficult for my bandmates to work with, and I know that. So I try to balance it out. I try to save my really strong stuff for when I truly deeply feel it's important. You know what I mean?
You gotta learn your battles, man. That's what I'm saying.
You do. Well, you know, we in Kardashev, we have what we call the Kardashev commandments, and they're rules that we go by, and one of them is that everybody has the final say on their own instrument. Everybody has the final say, and it has served us well, because the other two rules are: don't be afraid to write a shitty song, and you can always put an idea back. So, you know, if somebody gives you an idea, rather than battling about it for an hour, just take the take you did, mute it, move it to another track, give their idea a try, and if it sucks, put yours back. You can always put it back, you know. And so
yeah, see, like that happens with us a lot, you know, where it's just like, you're being too wordy, man. This part needs to breathe. And I'm like, all right, let's hear it out. And then that's where, like, where angels die, and then let the song breathe for a minute. I come alive. You know what I mean? Like, because like the original chorus, one of the versions that I was trying to die on that mountain with, it was shit. It was something like, I can't even remember. It was that, but that's the point. Like, it's not rememberable. You know what I mean? In a chorus, it's supposed to be rememberable. You know what I mean? Like, less is more in that situation. But yeah,
and I mean, that's
like that we dragged that wordy ass thing down. We came up with something, and we were like, let's A-B it. A-Beat it, and it was like, all right, you're right. You know,
that and that, you know, that's one of the most valuable experiences I ever had. I'll tell you this, and we can talk about your awesome song some more, but like I really want to zero in on that, because it's huge, especially for a genre like deathcore, right? Which Kardashev doesn't do deathcore, but it's still an important principle. I remember back in the day, one of my favorite vocalists to this day is James Martin. He goes by Jim from Aegean, a band called Aegean. They're not super active now. But
they're sick though.
Oh, you know how I'm talking about.
I know him.
And we actually flew him out for to guest on one of our releases. And I remember I was still pretty new. So obviously I was like super starstruck, and I was like, oh, this guy's like, you know, staying at our place doing vocals in our basement. This is so cool. And it was cool. But, you know, I remember I was like agonizing over this one part. I was like, I've told this story before, but it's a valuable one. I was agonizing. I was standing in front of the computer, and I was like doing the whole thing. And I was like, man, I just don't know what to do. And finally he said to me, he's like, you could just shut up. And I remember I was like a little bit like taken back, but then I was like, actually, this guy knows what he's talking about. And then so we just didn't put any vocals there. And when we went back and listened to the final thing, I was like, I'm so thankful he said that, because that was the answer for this section.
Sometimes you need to hear it, man. You know what I mean? Like, motherfuckers be telling me hey, you need less is more right here.
Yep. It's one of the most honestly, pivotal moments. Yeah.
It's hard, because like you hear everybody doing all this rad shit, and you're like, am I supposed to be doing rad shit here too?
Oh,
you know what I mean? And it's like, you got to pick the moments, you got to find the right spots where it's just like, all right, I'm gonna hold off just so they get this spice down here. You know what I mean? Like, it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, because like you have this really cool idea in your head, but you just can't sketch it out. You know what I mean? Like, it just happens. It just happens. And sometimes it's just like, no, just shush for a minute.
And it's, you know, I run into that a lot, because, you know, Kardashev has a lot of really long, open, like ambient-y sections, and so there are sometimes
motherfuckers would hate me,
dude. Yeah, I'm like, I'll be like, what am I supposed to do? Just stand here for a one whole minute, and then it's like, yeah, you know. But anyway, let's keep going, because we're not even halfway through. But there are a lot of really great opportunities to talk here, so I'm digging it. But yeah, we'll keep going. Here we go. I'm going to see if I can get more than 30 seconds without pausing.
Here's that chorus I was talking about that changed multiple times.
Okay, well,
at least if this is the part that I remember we clicked off, and then it goes in this really badass transition where it's my favorite thing on the record.
It sounds like we're about to hit a chorus, so I believe you. And like, just looking at the timeline makes sense. This is a sensible spot for it.
This is chorus time.
Let's do it. Well, obviously, we gotta talk about some stuff there. So this is actually a really like this. There's no way we're gonna be able to talk about everything that I want to talk about there. So in fact, actually, rather than hitting you with questions, I kind of want to just like open it up for you to talk about that. But first, I want to point out something that's completely off topic, but is like incredibly impressive to me. It's entirely off topic, but the yellow on that tattoo is so bright. It's hard to make yellows pop on a tattoo like that, but like it's like I was like, dang, like that. Those colors look nice.
Yeah, like it's one of my. I actually designed it for the dude, and he took it to the home run stretch and really stoked it on it. There's one thing about it that I'm not going to talk about that drives me nuts, just because I don't want people to notice it, and then they're going to be like, "Wait, what?"
Oh,
all right. I'm going to say it just because people might dramatize this and make it into something terrible. It's slightly crooked.
Oh yeah, I've got some of those myself.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's slightly crooked. The mammoth tusks are like little crooked, and that's just like literally, if you'd have seen how I got my throat done, like it's fucking straight. So they can fuck off, but dude, whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
I've got a couple of those too. I've got 4 tattoos, and one of them is like, yeah, only 4, man. I've only got part of it is like that's a long and complex story. That's a long and complex story.
I get it.
I'll tell you another time. But like if I part of it is that I love hand tattoos, but I have really bad like dry skin, so I don't want to get them on there. And I also love like face tattoos, but I just don't know where my life's going to take me. Like if I could see the future and I knew it wouldn't be a problem, I would have tattoos on my face. I love face tattoos, like stuff by the eye, stuff on the cheek. I love it. Neck tattoos, but also I don't know what I want to get. I'm not one of these people who thinks everything has to be deep and meaningful. I think you could get like a banana in a thong and it's hilarious and that's great. But I'm just indecisive, So I do want to get more, but I just don't know. I don't know what I would get. So until I know,
hey, they'll come to you, man. You know.
But yeah. So talk to me about. I just want to open that section up to you because you've got that awesome chorus, that really cool transition, and then this really cool like breakdown section where you're doing, cool, nasty noises. And there's some things I want to point out, but I just want to hand it to you. Tell me about the things that you, as the person who did it, are the most proud of.
I really like the transition point from the chorus to the buildup of the breakdown. I tried to follow like the percussive elements of this of the song itself. And it's really fast. It's faster than what I usually do, and that's where a lot of breath control comes into play. Believe it or not, the guy that tracked this for me didn't drop in my click, so I did this without a click.
Hell yeah. So good on you, man.
Yeah, like it was a weird experience, you know what I mean? But it really like showed how ready I am for my tour coming up. I will say that.
True. Good point, man. Yeah.
But I want to say like that transitional point, and there's like this howl that I do over that hardcore like kind of like groove going on where it's like I feel like that was one of the moments where like I came up with that and it made my hair raise up on my arms as a listener. I feel like that's a very iconic moment throughout my album.
Sure.
Probably hands down, but one of my top 3 moments in my record, 100%.
Hell yeah.
I'm very proud of that point.
Sure.
Some people might only hear it as you know what I mean? But if they understood how complicated it was to write that and create that, then I feel like they'd have a little more understanding of why it's impressive. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Because it's not just going fast, it's literally following the drummer, being locked in with Bobby,
Mm-hmm.
and then to a massive release where honestly, if people, whenever people see us play this live, they're probably going to be fighting for their life because I'm going to be moshing on stage. Um, because like it's just, it gets me gassed up.
Sure.
Like every time I hear it, I'm just like, ow, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it just um, and the breakdown, like that's just like a hey, look at me moment. You know what I mean? Like
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
says that vocal gymnastics, they're ruining deathcore. Shut up. You just can't do it. You know what I mean? Like I'm having fun. I've done almost everything in the book, and this is what seemed fun for me. You know what I mean? And this isn't, obviously it's not a challenge. I'm doing all these long things, all these gymnastics, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm still holding out everything that's record level.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like that's a great talking point. Um, Not to toot my own horn or anything, you know what I mean? But if you were to ask me, like, hey, what do you want to talk about in those parts? That transition and that breakdown,
Well,
mic drop. You
one
know
thing
what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that's my
and
shit.
that's one thing I wanted to point out is it's more about the whole thing together. But one thing I noticed, and I got a couple thoughts here, but where I want to start is one thing I noticed is that it starts out kind of chanty, da
Mm-hmm.
da da da, and then it
Yeah, if
progressively
that's
gets
that's the like that rememberable chorus. You
exactly.
know what I mean? Like it
Yeah,
gets in
yeah.
your head. You think about it. It's relatable on many standpoints, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what type of viewpoint you have. And it's
Yeah,
talking about self-induced isolation.
yeah, and
You know what I mean? And it's like where my
mm,
where angels die, that's where your good dies. That's where your loved ones get pushed away. There's so many different levels of thinking that could come from that, and very thought invoking
sure.
for like the chanting stuff. You know what I mean? And then whenever it gets to the intense stuff, and it's just like hard real, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and gets a little more wordy, but that's where it comes into like the need of more
Sure.
consonants and stuff to work with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's a good example of, how you show care to your lyrics. It's like, hey, these lyrics that are really impactful, I want to make it a little bit more anthemic, I guess, chanty. But then
Mm-hmm.
I think what makes those chanty vocals even cooler is that we get the vocal patterns get progressively more complex. It's da 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 da, and then a little bit more hop skip, a little bit more hop skip, and then you lock in with the drums, and then we get to the breakdown. And I think this is like this kind of is a good segue actually into the one of the vocal patterns I wanted to talk about is because you're 100% right. There are a lot of people who like listen to this stuff and to them it all sounds like whatever, right? And they're like, oh, it just is all like one noise. And I think for me personally, I here's what I wonder, right? If someone was to, and this is an analogy I've used frequently, if somebody was to walk into um if somebody was to walk into an Apple store and get mad that they can't buy a Samsung phone, like whose fault is that really? So when
Truly.
people pull up a deathcore song, and I'm on record being more of a black metal guy than a deathcore guy, right? But I do like deathcore. My career is deeply involved in it. But like when people like listen to deathcore and they're like, I just hate these vocal gymnastics. I'm like, well, you pushed play, brother. Like, you know what I mean?
Like literally, if you think of deathcore, not I want to say maybe 50% of the time you'll see my name somewhere.
It comes up a lot.
Respectfully.
It
You
comes up
know
a
what I
lot with my
mean?
students.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's just signs of the swarm as a whole. You know what I mean? My work, band's work, like it just shows up, and that's what kind of band we are. We're an extreme deathcore band,
Mm-hmm.
and the key word in that is extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I mean? And so you're going to have those extreme moments. I feel like that if I wouldn't have those extreme moments, I just fall into the melting pot. I wouldn't stand out too much. And the reason why people are mad is because they may not be able to do it. They may not be able to come up with this stuff.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what sets us apart.
I
Love it or
think
hate it. You know what I mean? Like it it connects with people, obviously. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Or else I wouldn't have a fucking job.
You know, I think a lot of it too is a lack of self-awareness, because like, here's a really good example. Like, I really don't like ska. I would go as far as to say I hate ska. But what I don't do is then think that that very strong dislike of the genre of ska means that it is bad or it is wrong. I would not go into a place that is made for ska and loudly complain, right? You know, I would say like, hey guys, that's not for me. You go have fun, and I'm not going to talk about how I hate it for 40 minutes, right?
Right.
And you know, I think another thing too is like, this is kind of, well, I'm just kind of going off on a tangent here, but I get what you're saying, and I think, you know, I think it's one thing to say like, I don't listen to deathcore because I don't like vocal gymnastics. That's okay, cool, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But to say I don't like vocal gymnastics, therefore it is objectively bad, therefore these are all not real vocalists, therefore it's a fake genre. It's like, dude, you're not that important of a human being that you get to decide the value of an entire genre. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because like I see people complaining, being like, oh, vocal gymnastics are ruining the genre. No, it's not.
It's not, man.
It's
like,
not. It's people getting better and people elevating their skills to a point that it's hard for you to comprehend.
Yeah. Well,
And,
it like, listen, go back to like Chuck Schuldiner, Death, the 80s, right? That guy was doing some crazy vocal gymnastics. So like, why are we, you know what I'm saying? Like, I will never argue with somebody that they don't like it. But and sometimes there are songs that I react to on the channel that I'm not a big fan of, but at the same time, like, you can still, you don't have to get so like up in your own mind about it, you know? And so that's where I get a little irritated when, you know, somebody is like, the entire genre of deathcore is dumb because I don't like vocal gymnastics. And I'm like, that's a very like egocentric
yeah,
view.
It's very weird. It's very weird.
It's very weird. I would never say that ska is fake music because I don't like it. Ska is an amazing genre that reaches a lot of people, that has survived the test of decades. And you know what? I'm not going to listen to it. And that's where I can be done. You know, that's like, you know what I mean? So, and I think it's cool. You know, you're right. Like you do have like a, like, you know, Signs of the Swarm sounds like Signs of the Swarm. And that's what it is. And it's a lot of this. And so a perfect example, right, is you do this scream where you tilt your head back, and to a lot of people, again, and this is fine, they would hear just like one big long scream, just like a, but to people who enjoy this and have taken the time to learn about it and to hear it, there's a lot of like little modulation that you're doing in there. It's not, it's like,
that's what I'm saying. There's
a
lot of dynamic it sits into there that has that. It has character, and it's not just, you know, it's like,
yeah. It's, you know what it's like? It's like a really incredibly high Scoville hot sauce that also tastes really good. Some people are going to think it only burns. Other people are going to be able to taste the notes of garlic with habanero.
Perfect analogy, brother. Seriously.
Because
for
like
the record, though, I hate spicy food.
Oh,
so,
do you,
like,
dude?
Yeah, I can't take it,
dude. And again, this is, I try not to eat it too much because of my acid reflux. But if there's a hot sauce that makes my nose run and makes me like feel like I'm floating, and I'm sitting here like, I love it.
Things that make you feel alive, brother.
Dude. And you know, the more you get into like these hot sauces, the more you're able to taste all the complex flavors along with the burn. So my wife, she'll taste one of my hot sauces and she'll be like, this is so dumb. It's all pain. And I'm like, to you. You know what I mean?
See, that's the thing, man. Like, I know everybody has their own opinion, but I've been noticing some people that are even in the genre complaining about things where I'm just like, why? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, whatever, dude. You know what I mean? Fucking, but whatever,
man. I think it's a cool, man. I think it's a cool song, and I like what you're doing. You know, I'm kind of tempted. Let's hit play. I'm not going to promise that I'm going to finish out the whole song because you might do something awesome that I want to talk about. But
honestly, it's a lot of chorus play because like this is one of the first songs where we were like, you know what, like what if we kind of like hone in on that chorus to kind of ride out the rest.
Sure.
And like I will say for a one take challenge, I will fully admit that I didn't do a part on this where because it's like where angels die. I'm holding out the die, and then it's like where angels die as like kind of like a repeat. But live setting, I have my guitar player do that. He
Yeah.
wasn't there with me, so it's not there. It's just like me just doing where angels die. You know, I
But the
come
thing,
alive. But
if
it's a
any,
true one take. I literally went from a hallway, walked
yeah,
into this room. Videographer gave the thumbs up. They hit play. True one take.
yeah,
There's not any layers. There's not. I did it with a 58. Literally, like there's no polishing.
hmm
It is as real as you can possibly get.
hmm yeah, dude.
Um,
And anybody who gets mad about that kind of stuff, it's like, well, you can't. You
I
that's
thought it
not.
would be lame if I had like a little video of me doing punch-ins. You know what I mean? Like you know, people like do like a little corner video, like it'll like pop up in the little corner there, and it's
Yeah,
just like them like doing like a layer. I'm like, what's the point? You,
I
we're
think that
doing
stuff.
we're
I
like
think
doing
it.
a one take, you know?
Yeah,
Like
I
I
think
don't
it'd
know.
be.
I
I
don't
think
know.
it would be
Because
kind
like
of
whenever
cool.
the idea I had
Uh
whenever like I was gonna do it at your place, I was
huh.
gonna have you do it.
Oh, that would have been sick.
And like
Man, and I
it would
got
have been
COVID. COVID.
yeah,
Dang.
like that. I was gonna drop the idea whenever I like got to you and be like, "Hey, what do you think about doing this with me?" And because Bobby
Oh,
thought it was cool, it was kind of breaking the barrier. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
get the vocal coach on the one take with me. You know what I mean? Because
dude.
I don't know. I thought it would have been fucking rad, but shit happens. You know what I
Well,
mean?
see, like I guess, like I said, I guess you guys got to release another album. We got to try again. But you know what it comes down to for me, man. I think this is it for me. Like when it comes to that kind of stuff, like adding in a video at the top or not adding a video in the top, for me, the only as long as the person on camera is being genuine to themselves and doing it the way that they want to do it, for me, that's really all I care about. You know, and I think that because you're doing this the way and I think that a lot of us are like that. We want to watch somebody be genuine. We want to watch
Yep.
somebody be genuine. And I think for you, if it felt more genuine to do it by just not doing that part, then you made the right call. Then that's the right thing. You know what
Like
I mean?
that's what I like. Honestly, that's kind of where my head was at. Because like I was like trying to think of what my fans want to see. They
Mm-hmm.
want to see me do a real one take. They want to see the rawness. They want to see me just having fun. They want to see me being Dave,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I feel like that this video captures that as a whole.
Yeah.
But
I
there's going
mean,
to be some people where they're going to be like, dang, I like that little like echo vocal that happens that like just makes it so
yeah.
catchy, man. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, so I'll beat everybody to the punch of complaining about that. I didn't do it.
You know,
Sorry. I thought it was more raw and real doing it this way as a one take.
and
Um,
the people who like are more like actual fans and like supporters, they're not going to care, man. Like
oh
I
no.
like when we played in October in Germany, right? A lot of those songs were written under the understanding at the time that we were never going to play live. Well, you know, one thing leads to another. So there's one melody in that song where like I hit a C5, clean voice. And like I can do that, but it takes a lot of, because I'm primarily a screamer. I will always say I'm a screamer first because I love it more. And so what I did is I was like, you know what? Like I don't have enough time to like train into it. I would really prefer to like actually get with like a super clean singing coach, and the clean singing coach at Carcosa Academy. She was like all booked up. So I was like, I'm just going to change the melody a little bit. And I was really nervous about that. And you know who cared? Nobody.
Yeah.
And there were some people who complained a little bit, but they like, I could tell that like we just weren't like the band for them. And I'm glad that I did change the melody. You know, I'm glad that I did rewrite it a little bit, because rather than having like a high note that I wasn't 100% comfortable with, I had a melody that still fit the song and was really strong and created a good experience for the listener. Right. So,
Yeah.
you know, you got to like I said, you got to be true to yourself. And as long as you do that, things tend to come across well, and the people who matter the most will notice.
Yeah. See, like I just know that in the community there are people that are really hypercritical about little things. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and that's where, like, with this one take, like, I may have done maybe a voice or two differently than usual, like than the
Yep.
actual recording. But hey, you know what? I was feeling it, man. I was just having a good time. Like,
Yeah.
this is the way that I plan on doing it live. Um,
And
and
it'll come across well, dude. I
oh
have
yeah,
people
I have no doubts about it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's a note to bring up before we hit play. You
before we
know?
hit play. Yeah, dude. I have people, because I have over 500 videos on this YouTube channel over 6 years. Of course, across some of those videos, I've said something wrong. I've gotten something wrong. I still have people who show up in my comments and reference videos from 4.5 years ago. And they're like, one time Mark said that was a fry vocal and it wasn't a false chord. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like how, like
Like
what?
low key, I kind of despise the labels. I'd rather talk about like the actual foundations of like how it's made, other than
Mhm.
trying to think of like a specific setup.
You know, one,
It drives me nuts a little bit.
yeah, that's going to spiral us on a huge
Oh
conversation.
yeah,
But
that's totally going to.
I will, I will say this. I have, and this has kind of become, this is much more common now that people think everything is a false chord or a fry. Thankfully, the thing has really expanded. But what I have started doing with myself and with my students is I say, kind of going back to cooking, I want us to think less of false chord as a finished thing and more as false chord as an ingredient that you can put in. Like like a loaf of bread is not just flour, right? And most of the time when we hear these screams, there are very few people who are doing just a false chord or just a fry, whatever that even means, right? Like if I did just an epiglottal rattle, right? No one's listening to that. No one's listening to that. So I know what you mean. I think the labels are. Yeah, hey, let's listen to your voice. Let's talk about how cool your vocals are. Here we go. Let's do it. We're gonna get too many people too spicy. All right, here we go. I love ending on that sludgy, like slurry sound.
See, like in the record, I actually did one of those like like fucking things, and I was like,
yeah.
I don't want to have any effects, so I'm just gonna do the ugliest thing, and I was just like,
yeah, I'm actually really glad that you said, oh, it's just a lot of chorus play, but I'm actually really glad that it came back into the chorus because like it is one of the parts of the song that stands out, and so having it kind of in the middle and then the chorus basically being the outro, I think is pretty strong, especially because like you've I wish I had a better way of explaining it, but you've got that repent, and then at one point you just slide right into the next part. And so it's really cool pattern. And that's something that I think is really important for a lot of new vocalists to understand is, being able to go, that's only part of the equation. You got to learn how to participate with a song. You know what I mean? You got to learn how to listen to a song and know where you fit and what makes sense to do. And I think, I think you mentioned, I don't remember exactly what you said. You're like, I don't want to like, hype myself up or like too much, but I'm really proud of this part. I think it makes sense to be proud of that part because it really is cohesive. And I love, this is not vocal related, but I love that slappy bass tone. Like it's almost, dude,
honestly,
like
Mike cracked on that.
Dude, I love it.
Some old school Metallica shit, and he wanted to make old school Metallica influenced deathcore bass.
So I don't know anything about bass, so I hope if I say this, it doesn't make me mad, but it kind of, it did have like an old school sound to me. It felt kind of like almost new metally. Like if you listen, think about like Mudvayne, or it's like
Yeah.
that clangy, and like, you know, that was my teens. That was my teens. So I've never
Honestly,
been like
there was a lot of people's foundations growing into heavier music, in my opinion.
yeah.
And
Yeah, dude. It was like, I mean, for me, I was listening to like black metal, and like I was doing weird. I was off on a different tangent, but obviously, you know, everybody listened to the same stuff because it was different back then. You know, there was no Spotify. Like there was LimeWire,
right.
there was Napster. You know, we're downloading. But yeah, it's a cool outro, man, and I think that the songwriting and the vocal choices here are really smart. Like it's a shorter song. I don't know how long it is, but it's like what, 3.5 minutes roughly.
Honestly, I think less than that.
Yeah.
I don't think any of our songs are over 3.5 minutes on this record.
Oh,
We try
wow.
to do,
Really?
yeah, we tried to, no, I think Fear and Judgment's like 4 minutes, but
Yeah,
every
interesting.
song we tried to have like true song structures where there are repetitive choruses. The lyrics are catchy.
Sure.
And we tried a different approach to deathcore, man. You know what I mean? Everybody kind of is falling into the whole, let's just do part after part after part after part, and it kind of just sounds like you're listening to a bunch of riffs.
So no, I'm sorry, go ahead, please continue.
But like there's like, whenever I say that, it's like almost like the vocal gymnastics thing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like it's kind of grown dull to us to not write songs, where like we're like, hey, like these songs are songs, you know what I mean? But like you hit play, but where's the chorus at?
Mm-hmm.
You hear a pre-chorus and you're like, no, I know the moment's coming. Boom, I know this part. I just heard that was stuck in my head from 20 seconds ago, or a minute ago, whatever, you know what I mean? We wanted to try to captivate on that kind of songwriting for this record. Huge learning points on a creative level, you know what I mean? Like but honestly, I really like it. I can't find a deathcore record that makes me think like it sounds like ours.
Yeah, you know,
to a degree, you know what I mean?
It sounds like the song length was a conscious choice, because, you know, I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know, if you think about, and you know, I'm not like a deathcore expert here, but and obviously,
nor am I, dude. You know what I mean? I'm still learning shit all the time.
Oh,
you know
dude,
what I mean? Like,
we all are. So the bands I'm going to mention, I'm not saying like they're like one for ones with what you guys are doing, but when I think about a lot of the releases so far this year, you know, we've got the new Lorna Shore, we've got Imperium Delirium, Shadow of Intent. Lorna Shore I'm opening up to more. Like I've never disliked them, but they weren't like super my thing. But I don't know, the last couple songs I've really liked, and Imperium Delirium, I love that album. And then you guys haven't
gotten into that Imperium Delirium, so I'm gonna have to check that out.
Dude, I did a whole album review and it was awesome, but it's a stark contrast, because both of those albums have songs that are like 4 or 5, I think a couple songs that are closer to 6, and y'all are doing these shorter songs. And that's another, like, you know, it seems like you guys, at least right now in your career, it's important for you guys to like strategically set yourselves apart a little while. Do you feel like the song length was a conscious choice, or is that kind of just how it worked out? It was. No, okay.
Yeah, like literally we were like, the common listener does not have an attention span that is going to be able to reach over 4 minutes. Let's just be honest here. We need to figure out how we can hook them in, give them something to remember, wave some sparkles in their face, bring back what they remember, and then wrap it up.
It will. I'll tell you this, it'll work. And it's fun too. That's the other thing. Like, you know, it's
a different puzzle to play with, bro. You know what I mean? Like, because like, yeah, you could do a super intricate puzzle that's going to rack your brain and it take you hours to get through. Or you could do a fun puzzle where like, you're like, damn, man, that was a lot of fun. I got to share a lot of, like, you're doing it with your buddy, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just like, we had a great time getting through that, you know?
And I think
I feel like that's a real common thing that's happened with, I've watched a lot of album reviews for To Rid Myself of Truth. Probably more than I probably should have. Maybe. But I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff, and all the people that have done reactions and stuff, I really appreciate them. because it's a good learning curve. It's like whenever you have people in like that come watch a TV show before it's out. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of people had the record and did the reaction before it was out because we gave them access to it, and they had that before. And then there's some people that just chose not to listen to it and they did it, you know, and it's a fun little experiment to be like, yo, they get it. Or, wow, that really didn't kind of go with that kind of listener. You know what I mean? And,
it's been sitting on my desktop. It's been sitting. You know, they send out like the PR kits and everything, the record labels. So I downloaded it as I often do, and I was thinking about doing. I was actually going to do an album review, but then it was like, oh, let's do this thing where you fly out, and then it was like, oh, so it's been a while.
If you end up doing an album review, I guarantee you, after you get past all the features, like once you get the Forcing to Forget and on, you're gonna be like, damn, I wish he would have did a cover of one of these ones. Because dude, those are the ones that are just like, we had a lot of fun creating those.
Sure.
But it's like after the Phil Bozeman feature, bro, it's just like we just took the chains off a little bit and kind of like had fun, you know. Had Carl do some singing on the record, which that was a different play. I kind of froze in the studio trying to do it. Crazy.
Frozen in the studio trying to do cleans?
Trying to sing, bro. Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Well, you know, man, listen, you ever want anybody to bounce ideas off with? I do. Like, even though, like I said, I'm mostly a harsh vocalist, our last album is like almost 50-50 cleans and harsh vocals. So I've been trying to find somebody to kind of
get with on the clean spectrum. Because like I tried somebody before, but they were kind of digging in territories where I'm like, hey, I'm here to talk about this, and I'm not, you know what I mean, like, respectfully.
Yeah, if you want to bounce ideas, I mean, you don't need like a vocal lesson, but if you ever want like just to bounce ideas, dude, hit me up, let me know, because I have, oh my god, dude, it is a struggle, dude, because like, here's the thing, here's one of the strengths of a lot of the screams that we do, right? You and I scream very differently, but there's no like audible pitch. If I go, I can't be flat. I can't be sharp. You know what I mean? And so then you gotta like, now you're like, what's the key of the song? And you're like, oh man, but like, or like, dude, this
bro,
is
when
what
my producer gave me my a piano roll and was like, here you go. This is what I'm thinking you need to hit, buddy. And I'm just like, oh shit,
dude, absolutely. And then you know what really pisses me off? This is one of the things that pisses me off the most. When you have a melody and you sing it and it sounds awesome, sounds great, but then you get your reverb on the guitar track, so this note and this note work together, but the reverb tail from the guitar track from 3 seconds ago does not work. And so now you've created a dissonant harmony because technically you're not in the, oh my God.
Trust, bro. Trust. You're preaching to the choir right now. It's all the dilemmas that I got into, man. But like, talking about me freezing up though, dude, like literally, like I thought I did it.
What do you mean?
Like I went, like I thought, like I was sitting there and like I was like, and like I was like, let me hear it back. They're like, dude, you didn't do anything.
What?
And I was like, no, I totally did it. And they're like, no, you didn't.
Whoa, that's crazy, bro. That's
one of the most confident vocalists around that you could probably talk to and be like, yeah, I did this, did that. Nah, once it came to clean singing, dude, I froze the fuck up.
Dude, that's crazy. I've never heard of that before. That's nuts, dude. Was it like a particularly like high part, or were like you like smacked out in the center of your chest? What was it?
It was kind of just like a soft spoken, like fucking, but yeah. Check out Forcing to Forget. Yeah, I literally gave him all the notes of what I wanted him to do. It was just it wouldn't come out of me, bro. Maybe it was like it didn't feel right timing, didn't feel right with me or something. I don't know. Like I don't know. It was weird. One of the weirdest experiences, because like dead ass, I thought it came out of my body, but it was in my head, and then I'm like, let me hear that back. It
was a ghost vocal. It was a ghost vocal,
no,
dude.
Seriously, like that's the best way to explain it. It is so funny,
dude. That's nuts. Well, man, I think this is you know, granted, I haven't heard the album yet because like I told you, I was kind of saving it for this. But I think it's solid, man. I think I haven't heard the rest of the songs, but I think this was a great pick for a one take, because like you said, it has that catchiness to it. It has that memorability to it that I think is pretty solid, and I'm excited to dig into the rest. So let me ask you this before we wrap it up here, because I just realized we're at we're at an hour and 40 minutes, which I don't care. But you know, if I've noticed that if I do these types of videos that we're doing, and they're between an hour and 20 and an hour and 45, awesome. If I put, for some reason, if I put it up on YouTube and it's past that hour 45, I don't know if it's the algorithm, I don't know if it's whatever it is, but so with that being said, anything else you want to mention? Anything else you think people should be aware of?
I really like to just address the relaxed part, because like anytime that anybody ever comes and talks to me like, yeah, like listen to my vocal or talk to me about vocals, and I explain to them like how I will just flat out just lay down on the ground and my body's not tensing up. Like, yeah, in that one take, it looks like I'm going nuts, but I'm kind of like playing the part a little bit, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
But like the actual like execution and doing vocals, you don't need to be like actually killing yourself to do them.
It's all about balance.
It's a lot about balance. You know, and balance, control, and like breathing techniques. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you're not suffocating yourself, like, and you know, like, I don't know, I just like wish to tell people to chill out a little bit and not think about it too much.
It's huge, man. It's huge. Knowing which parts, I always refer to it as like an athletic activation, right? Because when I do something like, you know, whoa, like there is in my throat, absolutely some tension and some squeeze.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it's like, not like, it's like if you're playing like basketball, right? Yes, of course, your muscles are activated and you're moving quickly but it's your overall body is still quite loose. You know what I mean? So that's not, I heard that somewhere. I can't remember where I heard it, but athletic activation, your overall loose, and you're just utilizing the muscles that you need in that moment. And it's important, and it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time for a lot of people to learn that, and it's a skill. And I try in my lessons to hopefully build that in so they don't have to learn how to do it later. You know what I mean? So that's great advice. Any one last tip you would give to a new vocalist before we wrap it up?
One last tip. Try to be you. I always see people that like I'm a victim of him myself. Like in my beginning days, I was trying to sound like Phil or trying to sound like Nate. We're trying to sound like this or trying to sound like that. Find your own voice, because it took me trying to emulate other people to figure out what my voice sounded like.
Yep.
And then once I understood what my voice sounded like, that's whenever I was able to have fun. Yep.
And that's good advice too. You know, eventually you got to kind of let your voice do what it's going to do and accept what it's going to do and turn that into a strength, right? Signature sounds like you're talking about, you know? Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, I appreciate that last bit of advice. I appreciate you know, kind of last minute shoestring making this work. But
always happy to be here, man. You know, Carter Vox is the shit.
Signs of the Swarm is the shit, man. Well, thank you for being here. And to everyone out there in YouTube land, as I always say, many thanks, much love. I'm out.